Alright, hi guys. Welcome to installing GaggiMate Pro on a Gaggia Classic. So, right here to my left, I've got most of the components or all of the components that you also will receive in your kit if you've ordered one. Some of them are just prototypes that I made that should resemble exactly what you get in the kit, or at least mostly. And some of them are already what you should receive, like the screen housings, for example, or the PCBs. So I'm going to go through the components first, see that we've got everything, then we can start preparing them. Oh. Sorry, camera glitched out. See that we've got everything, then we can start preparing them, and then we're good to go. Alright, camera staying where it is now? Alright, perfect. So, let's start with the kind of visual centerpiece. Here we've got the screen for GaggiMate, which is the Liligo that we're sending out now. Then we got the GaggiMate Pro PCB. This is a new version. I'll be showing the Pro install today. I also got the GaggiMate Standard PCB here, which is just very similar. Maybe I can see this better. So I'll just do the electronics install first, which is basically the same. And then I'll tell you when we switch to the Pro specific steps. Then we got the SSR. That's slightly different than the one you get in the kits, but it works the same. Here are some of the plumbing parts, which would be these ones. This camera is acting up today. We've got the pressure sensor. So all the plumbing parts and the pressure sensor are specific to the Pro kit and the Pro PCB. You wouldn't have those in the standard one. And this one is what you will receive with the Gaggia Classic. I do have to find... Why is this acting up today? So in the Gaggia Classic, the old version, you have these kind of pressure hoses. In the newer one, you get the silicone tubes with some sort of barb connectors. The temperature sensor that will connect to the boiler, and the kind of bunch of wires that we'll use to integrate GaggiMate into the Gaggia Classic. Presumably GCP installation for Pro would be similar. Yeah, I'll be showing that probably tomorrow with the other components. I'm just waiting for some wires on that. Alright, so let's start with some preparation. First step, like in the last video, is just flashing. So I'm going to switch to my desktop right now. Okay. So for that you just need a USB-C cable. And then you connect the PCB to your computer. Now for the first I have the controller connected. So I press on flash controller. sec, having some trouble. Other cable. Alright, so now it's just erasing the chip and then reflashing the firmware. And then afterwards we'll do the same with the screen. Alright, that's the controller done. And now we'll do the same with the screen. So just plug it into USB-C. And then click on Flash Display. Yeah, the display splash is a bit bigger, so this takes a while. Yeah, I am showing the screen just for the flashing part. I guess you can see the GaggiMate Docs website, right? With the progress bar? That's what you should be seeing, unless it froze, I don't know. Yeah, okay. I guess the progress bar is not showing for some reason. All right. So now we flashed the display, and that means we're all good to go from the computer. So I'll switch back to the camera. All right. Okay. So screen's all flashed. The GaggiMate Pro PCB is all flashed. And now we're good to go. All right. So safety steps first. Unplug the power from your machine. So that's done. Don't want any high voltage. Then probably like empty your tank or remove all this clutter so it doesn't get in the way. This can go. And then you want to start by undoing the top panel. So for that, just take a Phillips screwdriver and it's 4 screws for the Gaggia Classic. Some question? Yeah, no, I think the overlay was just not showing. I'm not sure why. I'll see what I can do for it about it for tomorrow's screen. Okay, don't lose your screws when you do this. So I don't know. Maybe take a bowl, collect them somewhere safe, and zoom on back. And now you can remove the whole top panel, including the water hopper, and put that to the side. All right. Let me see if I can adjust the camera a bit. Okay, that should be good. So here you got the top view inside your Gaggia Classic. It's got the pump right here. Here's the switch panel where we're going to do a lot of work. Then you got the, let me see how I can do this. Now we have a bit better view inside. So this back here is where the three-way valve is. We're going to have to access that. We're going to have to remove this steam thermostat here and the brew thermostat, which sits on the left side of the boiler. And then we also have to do a bit for the steam valve to tilt the boiler a bit. Okay, let's start by installing the thermocouple. So I will put this back. Okay, for that we want to kind of tilt the boiler a bit. So I'm gonna undo the steam valve a bit. That doesn't want to come loose. And the second screw. Okay, one. Now we can just wiggle this loose. You can try and reach in there without doing that, but it's a bit harder. Let me remove the steam thermostat first. It's a very old machine, so probably all the gaskets are a bit caked. It is recommended to label these connections if you don't do this every day. And then if you want to like go back or not sure where you remove things, then you have an idea where you took those things from. Okay, this guy does not want to compose on my machine. So let's just do it without. Usually you can just take off the steam valve and then remove the four bolts that hold the group head to the case of the machine. And then it's a lot easier to just tilt the boiler a bit and screw in the thermocouple. So I'll just put this back. Okay. So now we just have to get in here on the left side of the boiler. That's where the brew thermostat sits. And we can take off the two connections from there. One, two, which are these two. And then in your wiring kit, you have one very short red cable, which will look like this. And basically you just bridge this connection over. And then it looks like this. And just tuck that back in. Now I'm going to get all this wiring out of the way. And I'm just going to try and show you here how it looks like. With all the wiring out of the way. I'm not sure if you can see that. You can see the steam brew thermostat down there. So we're just going to remove that. Take this little span in here. This little slight little hex bolt here. Use this to set it. Okay. And just undo this. It's not very tight usually. Sometimes they kick on. I've heard of people breaking them, but usually it should just be hand tight. Then you can kind of go in here. And there we go. Okay. So the next thing we want to install is the thermocouple. So with this one, you have to be pretty careful. It's like a very small temperature probe that's glued into these nuts here. So you have to kind of twist the cable with it and make sure not to bend this black part here. Which is why it's a lot easier if you do this with the boiler tilted. So I'm gonna try and tilt the spoiler. Yeah, so you have just 4 screws underneath the group head or next to the group head, which just bolt the group head to the case of the machine. So that's what I'm removing right now. And then once you remove those, the whole boiler is loose. It's just held into a weird position by the steam valve, which is why it's better if you can remove it. But since that's kind of, I don't know, taked on with scale, we're not going to be able to. Need a small extension here. Okay, just one left. All right. Now you can kind of wiggle this boiler around a bit. But now it's just held on by the steam knob here. So yeah, that's why it's a lot easier. Okay, steam knob comes off. Yeah, and now that gives me a bit more space here. Okay, the screw to grip. So now I just have to kind of rotate the wire with it. Otherwise it might bend or twist and then you could ruin your thermocouple. So that's what I'm doing here right now. Yeah, this is sadly very hard to show on camera. And then I just recommend screwing this in hand tight and give it a slight twist with some pliers if you feel that it's loose, but I wouldn't like over tighten it. Yeah, this should be around fine. At this point, we can set the boiler back into position and continue our install. All right, so let me just put these screws back. On a video by Shades of Coffee, where they installed Sonar that it can be only be turned on remotely. Will I be able to do this remotely once the PCB is installed? Well, if you install GaggiMate, you can kind of keep the machine on and keep it in standby if you want. Um, it's not going to automatically start heating if it's in standby. So you could just use GaggiMate and then use our HomeKit or MQTT, not sorry, MQTT integration to turn it on remotely. Or if you want like a smart plug or something in front of GaggiMate, you can also do that. But I'm not familiar with how they mod it, so. All right. Okay, so we got the temperature sensor installed. Um, Next up, we can use these two connectors that we took off of the Steam thermostat to run some extensions which will go to the SSR. So those are these two yellow ones. So just like the other ones, plug them into here, and then these will go to the SSR. I didn't have the fork style connectors right now, so I just used these, but the kit will come with fork style connectors. Okay. All right, then next up are let's see if I can move this a bit here, are the connections to the pump. One sec, let me check this up. So on the pump, we have this connection here, which goes to the little fuse. Can you see this? And then this connection here, which goes to the rest of the machine. Let's follow this real quick. Okay. In this case, this red one here will be the line connection. And then for that, we have the green wire in the wiring kit. This one, which you can just plug into the fuse here. Might be slightly different on the 120-volt machines. I will find that out. Okay. And then you have the gray connection here, which should be the neutral one. Yes. And then for the gray connection in this one, we also have a gray wire usually. I only had black. But this one basically has this little double-sided connector here. So you can take that, put this one on here, put the gray one back on here. And now you have the neutral connection. And now there are just two connections left that we have to do in the machine, which are down here at the three-way valve, and one of them at the switches. So for the three-way valve, we took off the one that isn't the neutral connection that goes all the way around. And then we use the sorry, take that back on. Put the one of three-way valve back on. Actually, we have to use the one from the switches. So the switches, we can just remove all the wires here. And this one's coming in the way a bit. Move the last two here. If those do not want to come off, just use some pliers or something. And then on the steam switch down here, the bottom one on the left side, if you're looking at the front of the machine, that should be the connection that goes to the three-way valve. So for that one, we use the red wire that's in the kit. All right. And then all these wires that you take off, you can just zip tie in place, use a bit of electrical tape, just like kind of organize them nicely. Like all the ones here for the switches, for example, they're all a bit loose here. So I'll just take all of them and give them a little zip tie. And you can push them below here, for example. Okay. Just make sure I've got this right. Yep, perfect. So now what we have here is 3 out of the 4 wires that connect to the high voltage of the machine. So the last one would be the line one, which is one of these 2 blue ones here, which were connected to the top of the brew switch and the right side of the steam switch. That's kind of just what gives the heater energy when you, or the pump energy. Okay. Okay. So now we can take the PCB casing here. Just place the PCB into here. And then like a bit of a press fit. You have to make sure the USB-C connector here goes in there correctly. All right. That's how it's going to look like. And then these connectors are just push fit. So here we'll have the line connection. Goes on the bottom here. Just push them in there as far as you can while pushing down this little connector here, or pushing the little button. Then take the next one, which is the neutral. Okay. And then the next one is V for valve. Well, we've taken the red one here. And now we're P for pump, which is the green one. Just twist them together a bit so you have full contact with the wire. And also the thermocouple. The thermocouple, I have to check. The one on the top is plus. So this one, and the one on the bottom is minus. So blue one here. And red one. This one doesn't want to. I have to convince it a bit. Just press them a bit. If it doesn't hold at all, you could also just remove the. Will the push fit be big enough for ferrules? So I don't have the size of smallest ferrule I have. The push fits are good for up to YGAG 16, I believe. So they'll work with these ones, with the ferrules for the thermistor. Although sometimes you have to convince it a bit. Like now. These ones do not want to stay in here. Okay. Yeah. Decimate this plastic housing a bit. Yeah, if that's the size you have, then that should be fine. Just make sure they fit that far enough inside. And then it works. Okay, so that's all these connections. Then we have the machine buttons. So for these ones, you just want to fit them on the side of the button that's to the right. So just put them on the top. And then this is your ground. And let me just quickly check the pin out of my board. The top one behind the pressure connector is where the buttons so just in here. And just use something to push that inside. Okay. And then we want to lead those here out here, and the other ones out the other side. All right. So next part is SSR install. We have these two high voltage connections here. So these go into the AC side. So on the screen, let me just open the camera. If you look at it like this, it would be the top side of the SSR. So just take a Phillips screwdriver, open up these terminals, and then, yeah, usually it would be the fork style connectors. Now it's ferrules, works mostly the same. So then there, and then just screw it back down. And then at this point, we can take the low voltage SSR connection, which goes on the other side. Usually it would be the yellow cable for signal or for the plus. I've just marked this with a yellow heat shrink. And then, yeah, these are the fork style. So just push them under there, slide them in, and the other one as well. And then bolt it back down. And then the SSR, you can kind of either bolt it to the back of the machine here with a little M4 bolt or nut or a small inch kind of bolt, or you can use double-sided tape to tape it to the back of the machine. It doesn't get very warm, so I'm just going to use a bit of double-sided tape for now. And then I'll just put it up here somewhere. That does not want to hold. Okay, I'm going to worry about that later. And find some bolts later and bolt that down. So now I'll just throw it in here next to the pump. All right. And then you have the little SSR connector here, which goes in the 3-pin connector on the PCB. And finally, if you do the standard install, finally, you have the screen power connector, which goes right next to it. And you would route that outside of the machine to the screen. So if you did the GaggiMate Standard, you'd be done by now. But since we are going to do the Pro here as well, I'm just going to disconnect that so I can get it out of the way. We have to plumb in the pressure sensor into the machine. Right. Install the cover back. Always a good thing. So you do not have any exposed contacts. Okay, so for the pressure sensor, we have this tube for the Gaggia Classic. I did print this little device here, which kind of lets you slice this off very straight, which is important. You can also do it with a cutting block and a kitchen knife. It also works. I've done that, but this is a lot easier. You can 3D print that. I'll post a link. So I'm just take a piece of either end. So we have some nice and straight connections. And then what we're going to do, since I want this to be reversible, what we'll do is we just take this connector here off the pump. You'll probably have to use a wrench to do that. Like a small adjustable spanner like this one here works well, or just any other kind of wrench that fits this X size here. And take off this pressure connector. And then for this style, these just kind of crimp on here. So I'm gonna get some scissors, cut off a small piece of this so I can slide this tool over. And then cut it off nice and straight. So I have a good connection. And then for this one, you can also cut off a small piece. Maybe roughly this size. And what we're going to do now is this goes on here now. Right, to get this connector here. I have to force it on here a bit. Until it's all the way back at the fitting. And then with a little pressure, you can tighten this back down. Which is going to be harder than taking it off because you're kind of crimping this PTFE tube to the shape now. And just tighten this all the way down. All right. So here we have a gap now in our little connection. And this is where we're going to put this T piece here. So just push either side into here. And now you essentially have a connection where you can put your pressure sensor. What time tomorrow are you planning to do live stream for the GCP? I'm not sure yet. I'm waiting for some wires. I'll add that tomorrow. Okay. So for the pressure sensor, we need this connector here. We need this O-ring here. And then you just kind of want to screw that on. You want it tight enough that it's watertight and pressure tight, obviously, but not too tight that the O-ring or this is a normal O-ring right now. We're going to get some silicone washers for the kit. Not so tight that it compresses so much that you can't read the pressure. and then push it in here. And then you kind of want to fill this with water. So you do not have air bubbles in there. So I'm just going to do that now. All right. And then, so this is all full with water now. And then we can put that in the back here. Maybe a bit shorter. I'm going to cut this a little bit. And I'll just push that into the T connection here. Nice and tight. All right. And then we can just rotate it a bit out of the way here so that it lies kind of next to the boiler here is fine. All right, so this pressure sensor has 3 connections here, which will be stripped to about 11 millimeters. The high voltage connectors would be 10 millimeters. If you don't order the kit and just order the PCB, you have to strip your wires to 10 millimeters for the push fit connectors to work. And now we're going to take our PCB. All right, check the pin out again. So the bottom one is 5 volts, middle one is analog, and the top one is ground. Means this one here would be your red connection. Just a bit. Okay, that's the red one. Next would be the yellow. This might be yellow or green. But there will only be one red and one black. The tool to push these down. The screwdriver works well. Okay. And the last one is going to be this black one. Black one does not want to work. Okay. One sec. Just going to remove a bit more of the insulation so I have an easier job doing this. I'm dropping the shipping date for those who are watching till the end. I am still talking to all the suppliers. I will announce the shipping date very soon. Once I have a arrival date for every component, then I can announce a shipping date, but I don't want to announce a shipping date and then, oh yeah, actually, it's a few more days or something. Okay. This should give us some more room to work with. It worked. It worked. And that worked. Okay. So now all the connections except for the SSR here. Put this on level. Cute. So I'm going to plug in the SSI now, and then I'm going to store that away. Get the screen out of the way. Plug this in. Now we can put on the cover. which goes on like this. Just put this in here. And then the other side as well. Okay, that's done. And now we can organize this here. So, and, and, and probably thread that through here. And we're going to store that at the right back and just store it upright. And put the hose back from the feeder valve. All right. You can fix this PCB to the case with a bit of double-sided glue as well. And I'm just going to place a pressure sensor at the bottom of the case. This solid state really don't play that. I might have to find some. The Soontium, yeah. All right. So next up, we can connect the screen. And I'm going to clean up the wiring a bit later. So yeah, you have this connector. This is a bit, on this version, it's a bit thin here. I've actually made it a bit larger on the actual production run. So just plug this in. Set this in here with the USB-C port, kind of holding it in place now. Then slide over the top. Put this back. Whichever way that goes. That doesn't look right. Okay. Perfect. All right. And now I'd say let's take this for a first test. I would recommend you to just double check your connections. See if you connected everything the right way. And here we go. There we go. It is heating up. I can see the SSR going. And if I had the drip train right now, there it goes. So let's put this to the side. Organize it all a little bit. Push the wires a bit to the side. And the little tubes. Put this back on. This one you can just run through here a little bit. And then, yeah, there's a lot of different holes in this casing. So make sure this fits in there. Okay, so that's it right now. This can loose. And quickly place it a bit differently. See that it fits now. And yeah, that fits. Just this display cable. Let's put that on the front lip here. Put that in there, but just be careful not to damage these wires. Maybe a bit more to the back here. There's more space here. Okay, fasten these down. And then I've got a bit too much wire here right now, but you can just push that in here somehow. Or if you just organize your wires, then organize it to the length that you need to reach the front lip. Well, then just sit on here. Push the wires back. Hide them here behind the lip. I'm planning to power another ESP32 and just realized that you have, which I think is an AHLK PM1 on your PCB for the step down. Is there any available 5 volts, or will I need to get a bit creative? It's an HLK 10M05, which has 10 watts of powers, 5 volts. And you have the expansion connector, and you would also have the scale connector and the spare UART connector, which all have 5 volts. And I think the PCB under normal operation is throwing pulling like 3 of the 10 watts. So there should be plenty of power. All right. Now we just need some water. Put it all back together. And we can start it up. Okay, that's straight. Oh, nice. There's an expansion port that I can use. Great. Yeah. So the expansion port usually is used for the GaggiMate expansions. We are going to use some GPIO expanders on there, but for now, I mean, it has 2 5 volts ports, a 3.3 volt port, and 2 grounds. So if you're not planning to put any expansions on there, you can just use them for something else. All right, there we go. That is GaggiMate running. So I guess I'm just gonna. What expansion have you got planned? I am planning an expansion to turn the standard board into a pro board, essentially. And then we would also have a dual wall expansion. Um, I'm not sure. Whatever else comes to mind. Are you planning a rectangular screen option? Right now, that's not planned. I do quite like the round screen. We are planning to greatly expand the web UI, though. So you could just use the web UI to do some stuff, or like put a tablet on there, or whatever else you want. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to make a coffee with this now, right? Let me quickly clean up here a bit. Well, this wire, by the way, this you do not use in the Gaggia Classic. That's for the silver you're going to use it, and for the European Gaggia Classic Pros. So that's included in the kit, but if you have a Gaggia Classic, it's not needed. Right? Let's back to grinder. A way to support this project with the GaggiMate kit purchase? I mean, they're out there. I mean, the orders are out there. We are going to ship very soon. If someone who wants to tell me where to put my scales. Oh, this will do. Let's find a shot of espresso. Okay. All right. So we want, what, 27 seconds? And I guess now I know why you guys all want a low drip tray. With the Pro kit, will the current sensors cover everything in the software pipeline, or will there be an Ultra kit? I mean, Ultra kit sounds nice, but I don't think there's going to be one. At least I don't plan for it. The current sensor should cover everything. We have the pressure sensor. We have I have a flow sensor here in my test setup, so I can calibrate these pumps to flow profiles. But then the way these vibration pumps work, you can, from the pressure in the system and how much you pump them. Oh, oh, are you able to show the pairing with the BLE scale? Yeah. And from the way you pump them, you can kind of like calculate the flow. Yes, let me see if this is. How do I do this? Yes, like problem. I am streaming from my laptop, and the phone is the camera. So, how do I get into the hotspot Wi-Fi of GaggiMate and stream this? Oh, I have an idea. I'm quickly gonna start on my iPad and then get GaggiMate into my network, and then I'm gonna show the pairing. So this one that I have on camera right now, that's the Akaya Luna. Okay, give me 1 sec. iPad is starting up. Oh, why does my iPad not want to connect now? There we go. Okay. So, can you see the screen content? Purchase kit have some variants, for example, Classic Pro and Rensselaer versus the Classic. Can I purchase a kit with all variants? Can transfer the kit between machines. Barely. What do I do? Night shift off. Is that better? White farm. Let me hold this into camera. Okay, so this is the old UI, but it's basically the same, or the same options. So you press on Bluetooth scale and then connect, and that's done. Yeah, that's about it. And now in the screen, you see that we have the scale option. Okay, settle a bit on the temperature, 36 grams, and going down. Yeah, I'm not sure which PID values are on this machine right now, but PID auto tuning is coming to a nightly channel sometime this week. Why is it not pumping now? Restart this. It was pumping just now. Maybe connection got loose. No. It is pumping. There we go. Okay, I think I might have to replace the pump on this machine. The seller did say something's up with it, so. Yeah, but there we go. 36 grams of espresso in 23 seconds. Slightly too coarse, but that's what happens. I do have a bunch of other pumps lying around, so probably afterwards I'll change it out and then should be fine. All right. And there we go. Nice shot of espresso. Okay, guys, any other questions? All right. Then I guess I'm going to end it here. I am going to work a bit more on the profiles so we can release those and see that I get my new wires tomorrow so I can do the Gaggia Classic Pro. Can you custom profile on the Pro version? Yes. So let me actually quickly just start this up as a little nice. As for steaming, we still need to press the steaming button first. Oh, my girlfriend is telling me I shouldn't drink espresso at this time. One sec. Did you answer is the kit transferable? It is transferable. I guess right now we do not have an option to just order all the wiring, or like not all the wiring, all the tubing, but it's pretty easy to source. As for steaming, we still need to press the steaming button first. Yeah, so if I wanted to steam now, I could just, oh, yeah, I've connected the wrong buttons actually. Yeah, now it's steaming. I have to switch the buttons around. I connected the steam button to brew and the brew button to steam apparently. But yeah, now in steam mode. And then if I press this, it's going to pulse the pump a bit. Or if I press the play button, and I can finish it with that. And then if I'm steam button, press the brew button. Okay, have to add that transition. But then you can go to brew and brew. And now I have a scale with a bunch of water on it. Okay, other questions? Can you custom proof on the Pro version? Yes. Let me just start the web UI actually. The new one. All right. I'm just gonna get over to the, what is it? All right, there we go. Okay, this is a newer version of the web UI that's currently on the nightly channel. And then here you'll have the profiles. So here you can see in the screen, you'll have two kinds of profiles. You have the simple profiles, which you can do with the standard installation and the pro installation, which is basically what the machine does right now. You have a pre-infusion if you want, and then brew with different targets, either duration or grams. And then here you would be able to do like a full-on flow or pressure profile. That's what we're also working on right now. And then if I add a new profile, it'll bring me here. This one I'm still working on. And then here you have your new profile with new different faces. And then also with the PID autotune, for example. Are the Probots and full kits going live all together? Yes, presumably yes. Other display options and Bluetooth scales. What do you mean by that? Yeah, if you join Discord, your question should be answered in the FAQ section. Yeah. So in the Discord, we have a bunch of FAQs, bunch of people helping out. If you're going to do your install, it's best to open a help thread, or like an installation guide, just documentation of what you're doing. And then if you post your pictures in there and you have questions, we can follow up on it. Are we going to be able to connect a Buku for brew by weight and maybe we could display size like Arduino? Yeah, there's a bunch of supported scales already. Read the list. So right now we have Akai Luna, Akai Pearl, Buku Themis, Difluid Microbalance, Difluid 2i, Eclair, Time Mod Duo, Decent Scale, Felicita Arc, Varia Akku and Akku Mini, and the Eureka Precisa, the Bluetooth version. But if you have if you manage to find one of the older Eureka Precisa with Bluetooth, some of those do not work. It's pretty easy to spot. They have the red logo in the front. Those will not work. If you have one with the white logo on the front, then it'll work. Different display sizes, not really a priority. I tend to keep everything on the screen that you need daily, but then that shouldn't really be a lot. Um, and then everything else can be on the web UI, and the web UI is being extended all the time, so you can just put a small tablet or something. Buku Mini is compatible, right? What's the Buku Mini? Buku Themis Mini, is that new? Or is it just the Themis? Any scale. I'm on the website right now, and I can only find the Themis Mini, so I assume that's just what the Themis is called. I only know it as Themis. So yeah, that's compatible. I mean, if the manufacturers start making different protocols for their different scale sizes, then we're gonna have a problem. There's already like one protocol for each scale out there, so not very easy to add. Oh, one more. How much better will streaming be? Like DreamSteam? Yeah, I just showed that. I can show it again. So if you go into Steam mode, you can kind of hear it right now. It's already pulsing the pump. So you're going to have a bit of water entering the boiler, like at a very slow rate, and then the steam temperature is raised over the standard that Gaggia has. To, I mean, you can set it yourself if you want. I've set it to 145 right now, so that's going to be a lot more steam pressure than you usually have. When water flow will be available, I'm working on the flow and pressure profiling features also at the moment. Um, I mean, the sensor is already in there, it's being read. We have the dimming functionality like you saw just now. And then very soon we'll have the display of all that as well. I don't actually have a name for the Steam feature yet, so if you guys have anything that you want to call it, you can make suggestions. I'm not going to call it Dream Steam, that would be weird. Steam malicious. Yeah, that's an idea. Yeah, I thought about like GaggiMate Pro Steam. I have a bunch of more ideas for how to do the Steam. I'll play around with them probably at some point in May after the rest is done. SteamMate. Oh, that's also an idea. Maybe SteamMate Pro or Gaggi Steam. Okay. Any more questions or things that you'd like me to show? I think there's quite a bit of stream delay here. Have to see how to reduce that. I'm not an expert streamer. All right, I'm gonna end it for today then. You guys have a good night, and I am hoping to be able to do the Classic Pro tomorrow. See ya.